Friday, Friday, Friday.
Friday.
Feel sorry as they're going to hear our duets. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. Welcome to our 13th lemonade session. We are going to start in a couple of minutes. While you are tuning in, while we're grabbing a few more followers, let us know what songs you're listening to during this time. Sue and I were just listening to Roy Orbison, Only the Lonely, because today we're talking about loneliness, but curious where you're tuning in from, what music you're listening to on this gray Friday out in New York. How's the weather out in Chicago?
Sunny.
Oh, nice.
We are sunny today, which is unusual.
That's great.
We've been raining.
Tell us where you are, what the weather is. Anything else you want to share with us? Any music you're listening to? We'll get started in a couple of minutes. Now I'm going to have Roy Orbison stuck in my head all day. It's fine.
Sorry, darling.
No, it's great. If I'm going to have anyone stuck in my head all day, it might as well be Roy Orbison. So I see more people are joining. Welcome. If you want to go ahead and awesome. Sunny and 70.
Where's that?
In Mississippi. Evanston, sunny and warm. Happy Friday to you too, Tammy. We are going to kick off this lemonade session right now because it is now 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So welcome to all of you who are just joining us. Very excited for today's session. Briefly, I'll tell you a little bit about us, the Cliff's Notes version. The lemonade sessions were created by Pathways to Successful Living and are now being sponsored by Pathways to a Better World. A Better World, for those of you who don't know, is a nonprofit 501c3 organization overseen by a volunteer board of Pathways grads that provides support to people who would like to attend Pathways courses but need financial support. Better World believes that the Lemonade Sessions offers a great value to grads and non-grads alike during these uncertain times and when in-person courses are not available. So thank you so much to A Better World. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, we are at session 13. Don't worry, you don't need to watch the other ones. You can go back and watch them later. Stay with us live because you never know what will happen live. This will be recorded for your playback.
With me, right?
It's true. And Sue and I are in a mood this morning, so you better watch out because who knows what's about to happen. It will be recorded for your playback, so you can watch it later if you'd like, or share it with friends. You can see us, we can't see you. And then something I really want to stress is if you've been enjoying these series or you're enjoying this banter right now, click the share button or host a watch party, and then you can get your friends in to watch as well. This is open to everybody. You don't have to be a Pathways grad, which I think is a really great benefit of all of this. And we want this to be super participatory and interactive. So if you have questions or comments or anything, go ahead and type those in the chat where April has said she's from Seattle. Emily says, thanks, Sue, for your book. I just purchased it. And Dawn said she's listening to a lot of Spanish guitar with no lyrics from Cincinnati, where it is sunny and beautiful. So any questions or things that you have, you can type them into that chat. My name's Taryn. I'm a Pathways grad. I'm also a creative director and help out with Pathways social media. And I will be your voice during this session. So if you have questions, go ahead and throw them in and I will ask them to Sue. For those of you who don't know, Pathways has been around for over 35 years. Ignore the siren, they're not coming for me, at least I hope. Pathways has been around for over 35 years, and they've had over 45,000 people come through the seminars in rooms all over the country and North America. So we are typically in rooms, but we are in a chat room and video room with all of you today and are excited to be talking about the topic of loneliness, which is why we were listening to Only the Lonely a great Roy Orbison classic. Let me see how many times I can say Roy Orbison in the next hour. So yeah, Sue, thank you so much for hopping on this Friday and every Friday. And today we really are taking your questions and concerns and want to hear what's going on in your lives. Hello, Ivy. And feel free to type those into the chats, even if they're just thoughts or pieces of thoughts, and we'll talk through them. But Sue, to kick things off, you were going to talk a little bit about loneliness.
Yes, loneliness. You know, a lot of times we think that people are lonely when they're alone. And yet, oftentimes, people can be very lonely while they're with other people. So, especially during this time, while we're all indoors, we can still be with our families and be lonely. We can still be alone and be lonely. It really doesn't matter. The tag is something that self-isolation just increases with people. Oh, you're going to hear my dog today because Angel's not here. And so my dog's going to bark at you. And I may have to just pick him up and quiet him. Anyway, he's lonely. He wants Angel to take him for a walk. Oh. So with loneliness, you know, there are different ways to combat it, but sometimes we don't even notice that we're really lonely. Like we will do things to distract ourselves from it instead of acknowledging it. And I think that's the worst thing. Because when we're not acknowledging it, we kind of take it and put it over here. So now my loneliness is going to sit over here. But when it sits over here, it doesn't go away. You don't relieve it. It's the same thing with your sadness or upset with what's going on in our world right now. We can pretend it's not there, or we can say, well, I'll just do this instead. But as long as we're distracting ourselves from it, we don't get the relief from it. And the relief is acknowledging it and then allowing whatever feelings are there to come up. Not to get lost in them, because a lot of times we can get very lost in our negative feelings. And it's not about that. It's about experiencing them, releasing them, and then moving on to something new. But when we release them, we create more space inside ourselves. And that's true with any emotion that we have. Whether it's anger, it's joy, it's sadness, especially in negative emotions though, because when we hold on to those, they become blocks to experiencing more in our lives, blocks to experiencing more love, blocks to experiencing more gratitude, more prosperity. All those things are blocked when we're holding on to those emotions. And so it's really important for each of us to allow ourselves the space and the time to experience them. You know, yesterday I was talking to a dear friend, frontline worker, and they had been working for like 80 something hours in a row. And this was their first day off. And what they kept experiencing was all these emotions that were coming up. And during those 88 hours, they were really efficient. They were dealing with whatever they had to deal with. And then they get off, and their first day, they're a basket case. Now you could say, what is the matter with that person? Or yay, they're expressing everything they had to hold in for that whole week in order to be efficient and deal with the patients and deal with the parents and the family and the doctors and coworkers. I mean, they had to deal with it all. And when you're dealing with all that, you're being efficient, but then you got to give yourself space to just release everything that you held on to during that time. And it's the same thing here with us at home. staying at home, being at home alone, being lonely, being sad, being frustrated or angry, the best thing you could do would be to journal about that and allow your feelings to be there, not to take them out on other people. Because when we do hold on to them, a lot of times we do take them out on other people, and we don't want to do that. So we want to just write about them and allow ourselves the time and energy to express them. I know for me, there have been times in my life where I've been really, really tired. And I'm sure some of you can relate to this. Like I've been in one seminar after another, and I come to a day where I have nothing, maybe a few days I have nothing, and I just like, I just let all those emotions go that I've been holding on to while I was doing my work. And giving myself permission to do that is sometimes difficult, but doing whatever I can, whether it's a hot bath, a hot shower, writing in a journal, allowing myself to cry or be angry or frustrated or not deal with people, just taking that space to not deal with anybody, because I need that space for me to get through and heal whatever's going on for me. And it happens for everybody, every single person has times that that's going on for them. And so it's not about judging yourself. It's about allowing yourself to have the space and the energy to do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself in times like that. One of the best things that we can do for ourselves when we're feeling lonely, after we allow ourselves to express all that, is to keep ourselves active and to keep ourselves connected. So maybe today you're feeling really sad and lonely and you don't want to connect with anybody, but then allowing yourself to have those feelings and then pick up the phone, and who's that person that you can confide in and say, hey, I've been feeling really lonely.
Who's not you?
What?
Who's that person who is not you?
It's not me. Well, I mean, we all have friends, that we can call and talk to. So, but sometimes it really is getting ourselves the mental health that we need, calling a counselor and saying, hey, I need to see you, It just depends on what situation you're in, but taking care of yourself, there's nothing more important than that. Because if you're around your children, if you have children and you're around your children and you're feeling that stress, guess what? They're feeling it. I was talking to another grad that I was counseling, and they were uncomfortable in any way sharing their upset about what's going on with their children. Well, they were sad. And I'm like, how would your child know how to deal with their feelings? Because I'm sure they're feeling stressed too, if you're not showing them how to deal with them. They don't know. So it truly is about giving ourselves permission with no judgment, just gentle, loving permission to express yourself and get some of these emotions outside of you.
Just to jump in on that.
I guess I just went on a rant.
No, this is great. Welcome to the Lemonade Rants with Sue Page.
Yes.
On that idea of permission, Lori says, giving ourselves permission is huge. I find that part the hardest. And Lori is working in a New York City hospital. And she said, I experienced the same thing after working my shifts, where you talked about when you were talking about that release and all of that coming to catch. So what do you say about...
Lori's on that front line and she has a job to do. She's got to be there. But in the meantime, all these things are impacting her. They are impacting her whether she's conscious of it or not. And when they're going to come up is the day she's off. Lori, I love you, honey, for being on that front line. Praying for you every day, sweetheart.
So what would you say to Lori then about, giving herself permission is the hardest part?
Too bad. I'm in one of those moods. I know that's one of our hardest things is taking care of ourselves first. And Lori, you know this, that you got to put on that mask first if you're going to be there for other people. And so carving yourself out time and putting a little boundary around it and saying, this is what I need right now, because when you do that for yourself, you're going to be there for your family much better than you are if you don't carve out that time for you. So you're really not only doing it for you, you're doing it for all the people you love. Because only a portion of you is really there if you're not giving yourself permission to take care of you. So, it's just like you would tell anybody, you're on those front lines, take care of you first and you'll be taking care of everybody else. When you don't take care of you, you're not taking care of anybody. And that's the hardest thing for all of us, because that looks selfish. It's not selfish. It's not selfish. The other way is selfish. When you won't take care of you, you won't take that time out, but then you're not really there for anybody else because you haven't been there for you. That's selfish.
Lori says thank you, and she loves you too. And she said that's the best answer.
Oh, yeah, it's not always easy for us to take care of ourselves and be there for ourselves first, because we've been told that's selfish. We're being really selfish. And it's not. What I've seen is that when a parent can't find that space and time for themselves, they get crankier with the people around them, especially our kids. I remember being at home with 5 little kids and I was running around all day, but when I didn't take that time for myself, I was just, cranky, irrational, bitch, all those wonderful words, and then I'd be angry with myself that I was like that, but never in a million years, I didn't have the kind of growth I have now to know that taking care of myself would have been taking care of my kids. Had I just gone in and taken a hot bath at night, it might have refreshed me for the next day, or talked about my frustrations with some of the other parents, because I'm sure they were having frustrations too, but you want to be a good mom. And so when you want to be a good mom, you don't want to share with anybody else what isn't working for you. And the best thing you can do is, if I shared with you, I'm struggling today, doesn't that give you permission to say, hey, you know what? I struggled the other day, or I'm struggling today, or how did you handle it? This is how I'm handling it. Because that's what's going to offer us all permission to just be who we are and get the support we need. And we all need support.
Lori said also she's been reframing selfish to self-caring.
Absolutely. Who said that?
Lori.
Yeah, I like that.
See, Lori, you do know how to do it.
That's right. She's a smart one.
One of the things that I found really helpful as I talk to a lot of friends going through this is I will ask myself if I'm being hard on myself or if I'm not taking care of myself. I think to myself, if I were a friend of mine who was coming to me and saying, hey, this is what my life's like right now, what would I tell them? And sometimes it's easier to see it as if it were somebody else, especially around self-care.
Yeah, see, for me, I'm more of a introvert. May not look that way sometimes, but I really am. And so the being at home and being alone does not bother me. But for someone who is an extrovert, that's really, really hard. And for us to be understanding of the differences in energy and what each person needs is really important,
Yeah. So another question and comment coming your way. This is Cecile. I love Pathways. Sue and her team turned my life around. With my ALS, I do feel lonely at times and go on my laptop. I feel a lot of sadness as my wife Diane has to do everything. I know it's not my fault when you're used to doing cooking together and other chores. It's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. So how can you be there differently for your wife? She said her wife, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how can you be there differently? Because you have so much to offer. And it truly is that maybe you can't be there in the same ways that you were before, but I know you can be there in different ways that would nurture her. And so I think that's really important. Is this Cecil from Canada?
I don't know. You let us know. Potentially Cecil from Canada. Go ahead and type that in there. And yeah, and while we're waiting on that answer, Ivy just said, I just realized while listening to this that I've been approaching loneliness as a problem to solve and get rid of, but it's an emotion that will appear from time to time.
Absolutely. You can't get rid of it. You know, all of our emotions are really important. I remember I couldn't stand the emotion of anger. I thought, oh my God, I don't want to be angry. I don't like anger. I don't want anyone around me to be angry. And, I was sitting outside during a huge storm that had lightning and thunder and all of that. And I went, wow, nature has a lot to teach us. And I thought, this is beautiful. I mean, it was such a gorgeous storm. The lightning was just amazing and the sounds were tremendous, and it was like, wow, this is so beautiful. And so I just sat outside in the middle of the storm and I thought, this is really important because with the rain and the noise, it wakes you up. But nature needs the rain and nature needs the sun and the wind, and every part of nature is part of growth and growing, and it's good. And I thought, so how could anger be bad? It's got to be good at times. It's just how you direct it. If I'm directing it inward at myself, it's not good. But if I use the anger to wake myself up that there's something I need to say right now, and say it in a way that I would want to hear it or the other person can hear it. But it's a catalyst for something, and so every emotion is good. Loneliness is good. It says, hey, wake up, you've got to reach out. You got to tell somebody what's going on for you. You got to ask for support. And how many of us like asking for support? I don't, but I do it because I know I need it. And when someone asks me for support, I really feel good. And don't you feel good when someone asks you for support and you give it? How do you feel about helping them out? I hate technology. All of you know that. It is it's my curse in life and brings me more depression than anything else. And so what I have to do, God put that in my life so that I could ask for support. I have to ask people to help me. And I love being self-sufficient. So asking for that support is what I need to do. And so every single emotion is good and it's valuable in some way to you. When you're feeling it, you just got to figure out, what do I need to do with it? One, express it. And two, what does it have you do out in the world because you're feeling it? Any other questions there?
Yes. I should tell you there are no questions, and we'll just make you sit and fill the time.
Okay.
No, there are questions though. Actually, I've been concerned that one of these days you're just going to stand me up and we'll have all these people watching and it will just be me.
Oh, I don't know that I would do that.
So Melissa
No.
says, I've been struggling with a lack of social interaction besides my immediate family. Zoom doesn't feel the same.
Right. And so do you get on the phone with them? I have heard of people taking walks with their friends, but they're wearing masks and they're distancing, but they're still walking together. I mean, this one friend of mine goes out on the trails and they are literally 6 feet apart, screaming at each other, but they're loving it because they are having that interaction, you know? I mean, you got to do what you got to do in order to stay safe, and you have kids you got to think about. So how do you create that company with someone and stay safe? That's what's important.
One of the things I did, which was great, was I took a walk on the phone with a friend who lives in a different state. But it was interesting because as I was walking through the same park a couple of days later, I saw a spot where we were having some conversation, which was just me alone, but on the phone. And I thought, oh, that's where we were talking about this thing. And it almost attached the place to the conversation and that friendship, which even though we were in separate places, was nice to do that. And I've heard of other folks watching TV shows together, you know, or exercising together or taking a class together on Zoom and then being able to see each other while they do it, which is not the same as in person, but does.
And it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It is not the same. But now that they're starting to release some things, how can you safely do something with a friend? You know, I mean, it was really funny because someone said, do you want to go for coffee? And I go, what? Yeah, do you want to go for coffee? And I'll sit at that table and you sit at this table and we'll be on our phones and we can talk on our phones, but at least we'd be across, you know. I'm like, no, I don't think so. But I mean, it's a thought. There's an idea, you know. How do you create something with what you need?
Yeah.
And your family could drive you nuts. You know, sometimes my family drives me nuts too. And I remember being home with little ones and being totally crazy. I needed adults to talk to.
Joanne says, emotions come as a package. If we choose to block emotions we don't like, such as anger, then we also block the emotions that feel good, like joy, love, and happiness. Yep. Have to be willing to experience and let go of all emotions.
Absolutely.
So Terry asked a question that I actually had in my mind as we were talking about this. She says, am I strange that I don't feel loneliness? I miss my family, but I don't feel lonely. Is that because I'm such an introvert?
Probably. You probably have, you know, for me, I love being alone. There's nothing wrong with being alone. I love it. And so that could be the same for you, where there's that peace in being alone. And it doesn't mean you're lonely. I'm not lonely often when I'm alone. I can fill up my time reading or walking or thinking or creating when I'm alone, you know? And so if that's the same for you, then there isn't anything wrong with it. You just have to make sure that you do socialize somehow, some way. That's just as important.
That has me thinking of what you just said, of the lyrics to, I think I'm going to get this right. Is it Kelly Clarkson Stronger?
Yeah.
About not being lonely when she's alone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm not ever.
Right.
You know, I just go, okay, what's next? What could I do? I like puzzles. I like, you know, people are saying that they learn a lot about me on Wisdom Wednesdays because I give lots of stories about myself. And, you know, I've always had lots of projects that I love to do. I sew and I knit and I crewel and I paint and all those things. It's like, oh, I think I'll go do this, you know. So there's no loneliness.
I'm with you. I actually had the thought the other day that if I were ever in a prison situation, that if I could get myself into solitary confinement, I probably would be the happiest of being in prison. That would be my jam if I could just get into that solitary confinement unit.
Yeah, better than being with the whole group and having to figure out all the different personalities around you.
Mm-hmm. And Terry says, thanks for the reminder. She says I definitely do, sometimes too much, but I love my alone time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some people can't stand it. My husband could not stand being alone. He was an extrovert's extrovert, you know, and so he always wanted to be going and doing and being with people. And so he and I filled up completely differently. He would be with people and it would just fill him up and he'd come home so full. But if he had to stay home alone and be by himself, he was depleted. Where me, I go out and I'm with people and that depletes me and being alone fills me up. It's just interesting how, and so we made a great pair. It was great. Different energies.
Yeah. Ivy said she loves the nature analogy that you used with the lightning. I have been holding a belief that loneliness was a weakness and I felt shame so I hid it. This experience has pushed me to reach out and realize it doesn't mean I'm deficient somehow. Thanks for the input.
Yeah, it does not mean that at all. None of our emotions mean that we're good or bad. They just are our emotions. And everyone has them, and we all have all of them, and we all need to express all of them in one way or another. You just always want to look at, when you're angry, a lot of times I thought, well, I'll spew, shh. And everybody caught my anger instead of me being able to think about what was making me angry and be able to express that in a way that works for everybody.
I think I've been on the receiving end of some of that spewing anger from time to time.
Of mine?
Yeah.
Oh no, you haven't experienced it yet. You may think you have. Oh.
It's lemonade session 14. That could be Sue spews anger at Turin. So for those of you who are just joining us, we are talking to Sue Page about loneliness, but also any Q&A you have. If you have any questions, you can just type them into the chat. Anything you're feeling right now or that's coming up for you right now. Earlier in the chat, you had mentioned that sometimes we can be lonely but not realize it. Mm-hmm. What are some of those signs that maybe could have people looking at if that's them or if that's the case?
When they keep them so busy that they're not feeling, that's one sign that you're just going from one thing to the next and you're so busy that you don't have to stop and feel any of your feelings. That's always a sign that, something's going on under the surface and you need to stop and look at it. It may not be loneliness. It could be frustration. It could be anything. But that always tells me that something's going on for somebody. The other thing is when we're blaming, when we are looking outside ourselves at other people and talking about them, gossiping about them, blaming them, putting something outside of ourselves, that's also a good sign that you're really not looking at what's going on for you. So those would be two key actions that would help you look inside and see what you're feeling.
And do you have any suggestions of how to do that self-reflection or how to look inside?
What I always do is when I have that coming up, then I start journaling about, so what's really going on. It's never about the other person. It's never about what's going on outside. It's always about what's going inside So what is what's going on outside showing me about what's going on inside? And I have told the story a lot in a couple of the seminars that I teach about meeting my husband's sister for the first time. And she did not want my husband to take her 2 children with my 3 children to a putt-putt golf course where it had lots of games and everything else, because she didn't trust him. And my husband was an amazing dad, but she hadn't seen him or known him for so many years. They never lived close to each other. So I got angry that she would only let him do it if I went. And he kept saying to me, it's never about the other person. Why are you really angry? And I'm like, well, I'm really angry because I got to get up and I can't take a nap and I have to go to this putt-putt golf course and I didn't want to go. And he's, no, that's not it. That's not why you're angry. Why are you really angry? And so I had to look at that and say, how is what she is doing with her brother something I either do or something I don't do? What can I learn from it? What is really going on? And so in that, I saw that I too only saw my younger brother as my younger brother who, you know, got in many car accidents, did a lot of drinking, wasn't always, he's just always getting in trouble one way or another. And so there was a part of me that wouldn't have trusted my younger brother with my kids. And so when I realized that, I thought, wow, he's not my younger brother anymore. I wonder who he really is. I mean, he's still my younger brother, but what am I missing out because I don't know who he is today? And so I got on the phone and apologized to him for not really seeing him for who he was today. But it's that kind of stuff where when I look outside and I see something going on, I mean, even the stuff that's going on with the president right now, and so many people are spewing or feeling anger towards him. And so I look and I go, okay, so what's really going on with him? And why is he maybe not telling 100% the truth and people aren't believing him and they're believing like your governor or Dr. Fauci? Is that how you say his name? Mm-hmm. Because they're telling you the truth. Hey, here's what's going on. And if you just check out what the doctor's saying with the people who are on the front line, you see that that's the truth, you know? And so then I have to say, where in my life have I not wanted to tell the whole truth because it would upset people? And so that's what I look at, you know, or where am I just not being totally honest in my life? And what impact does that create? It creates a lack of trust, you know, like I don't trust him like I trust some of the other people based on what they're saying and based on how he treats people. So it's like, and when I do that and I treat someone one way, then it loses trust for that person. So it really is about looking outside myself to see what I can learn and how I can grow versus keeping my judgment out there, my anger out there, just turning it around and seeing how can I grow with it. Same with the loneliness. How can I grow from that? What's available for me? Does that help?
Yeah, that's great. Help me. I don't know if it helped anybody else watching. So Tammy said, I'm freaked out that it's May 1st because this began in March and time is flying by and I feel like I have no control.
Wait, she freaked out what? Because
she's freaked out that it's May 1st.
May 1st.
Because this began in March. And you and I were even talking about how, you know, I can't believe it's May already.
Mm-hmm. And so the thing that I would say about that is we're getting a reset. We're getting a reset, and it's time to look at how we could do life differently, how we can be more creative. Everything is changing right now. I was talking to someone the other day, I don't remember who it was, but they were saying now, because we have to wear masks, they're going to have to do new facial recognition on things. Instead of being able to touch something, they need, someone told, and I can't remember who this is, but flushable toilets that you don't touch. I mean, all kinds of things they're inventing right now. And I think we kind of went maybe stagnant, and we weren't necessarily thinking or improving on things. And this is just an opportunity for us to become much more creative. One of the things that we're looking at is how do we put all the seminars on virtually so that people can still go, you know? We're looking at doing that for June Basic. How do we make a virtual basic? A virtual couples, a virtual, we're doing virtual.
Fixture picker.
Fixture picker, yes. We're doing that one virtually, and some other things that we're looking at virtually. Because, I mean, for those of you that have been through the programs and you look at how would we do dinner? You know, you do dinner in a small group and you have 6 people that eat at a table together. That may not be possible for a while. And what they're saying is distancing. Well, how do you have a table that's big enough to talk, but you have to have people 6 feet apart? I don't know. I don't get it. So we may have to look at doing things differently, just like our world is needing to look at it. And so you can sit there and go, oh my God, it's May 1st and time is going by, but use your time. Take a class, learn a new hobby, learn guitar, learn piano, learn something, put yourself to work. And when you come out of this, it's like, wow, look at how I used my time and what I did with it, versus sitting there every day worrying about when I'll get out. When will we be allowed out? Not allowed, but where it's going to be safer, you know. Don't spend your time thinking about that, sweetheart. Think about what you can learn and what you can do. That's the best advice for anybody.
A lot of people are chiming in saying you should do dinner breakout rooms, which you'll just have to take basic online and find out when it's available. Find out what we do.
We got dinner figured out.
Great. And also in that opportunity, right, there, I'm sure are a lot of people who would not ordinarily be able to attend basic for cost reasons of having to travel to Chicago or childcare and needing to be home every night or whatever it is, who, you know, could now have the opportunity to do that. And
right.
So, you know, seeing,
and
I won't even call it a silver lining. It's just the opportunity.
It's going to be so much cheaper for people because they don't have to get a hotel room. They don't have to travel, you know. And so for people coming, you know, maybe some of our Canada friends, did you ever find out if Cecil was from Canada?
No.
Yeah. Cecil. Some of our Canada friends that haven't been able to attend the seminars can now send people that they love and have it right in their own backyard, even though they won't necessarily be able to be there with each other.
Yeah.
Still allow them.
And I'm just gonna
I just talked to a guy last night that went in 1986 through the seminars, went in 1986. And I told him that we were going to be doing a basic online. He was so excited because he was calling me to say, we want you to come back to Tucson. And we have so many grads in Tucson that I absolutely, you know, I get really connected to people and I really love them and I miss them. And so I can name off people. And I was so excited when he said, I'm telling everybody that you're doing this online so that, you know, maybe they'd repeat and I'd be able to see them. That would be so cool.
Yeah, yeah. And also I feel like part of the beauty of Pathways is learning so much from fellow students. And what an opportunity to learn from somebody in Tucson and somebody in New York and somebody in Chicago, and not make it limited to just who can come to this room during this weekend. So that's really neat. So question from Kelsey. I struggle when my husband wants to be left alone when I'm craving interaction with him, but when it's flipped, I get so angry with him.
She gets angry when she wants interaction and he wants to be alone? Is that what you...
She struggles when her husband wants to be left alone and she wants interaction. Okay. And then when it's flipped, when he wants interaction and she wants to be left alone, she gets angry.
Yeah. Good luck, sweetheart. The only thing that I would say is that maybe you guys need to create some kind of a schedule where this is your alone time, that's his alone time, and then you create the schedule where you're going to be together and support each other that way. Because, you know, you got to acknowledge and support each other's own rhythms, you know, and so how do you do that as a couple? That's the only thing I can tell you. And that's what happens for a lot of people. You're not alone, you know, where I want this and you want that, and we're at totally different opposite ends. You know, that would happen with Jeff and I too, where he'd want to go out and I'd want to stay in. He'd want dinner out, I'd want dinner in, you know, so we gotta work together. And anger isn't going to help you, honey. It's not going to help the situation.
So if anybody else has any final questions they want to type in or comments, go ahead and do that. And maybe while people are thinking, we can talk a little bit about some of the upcoming programming that's happening.
Sure.
So as Sue mentioned, and I mentioned, Fix Your Picker is coming on Tuesday. It's a 2-session class. I'm super pumped. I'm taking it and I'm very excited. So if you are not sick of hearing from me and you want to come join the class, you should definitely do it. What I think is awesome is not only did you adapt it, but you're doing a discount. So it's $99 for one person. And if you sign up with a friend, you get a discount, which is great. So I signed up with my sister because we love a discount, and we really enjoy taking the classes together. But
and the good part about it, when you do come with someone you know, is when we're out of the stay at home in place, we have something extra special that you get to go and do. And it's so much fun to do it with someone you know. And so that's why I'm encouraging people to come with someone you know, and they don't need to be a grad. They can be a non-grad. So someone you've wanted to introduce to Pathways, this is a wonderful 2-evening program that is fun and funny and challenging, that, you know, will really help them also make some decisions about people they're bringing into their lives.
I probably wouldn't recommend saying, you know, I really don't like anyone you're dating, you should sign up for Fix Your Picker. That's probably the wrong approach but yeah, definitely share that with your friends. Also, sharing the lemonade sessions is a really great way to introduce somebody to Pathways who maybe ordinarily wouldn't be able to attend or wouldn't attend. This is great snackable content, ways to get a sense of what's going on.
And it's on our YouTube channel too. So go sign up on our YouTube channel. It's Pathways Seminars, I think. Do you know much about my YouTube channel? I don't know much about it, but I know the lemonade sessions are on the YouTube channel. Yeah. So you can send people to the YouTube channel too.
Colin says these classes work really well when you go with someone you know. Very, very true. Mm-hmm. Colin. Shout out to Colin, who posted on Facebook today that he's getting a new roommate.
Yeah, when?
Today, they're kicking it off. Yeah.
Today?
Well, who knows when the roommate will choose to arrive, but
They're
yeah,
in
so
the
shout out to
hospital
Colin.
now?
No, they're not.
Okay. But
Yeah,
pains are
they're
happening.
heading there.
The
They're
baby's
heading there.
coming. Oh, yay!
Uh, so
So we're
what else?
also I'm doing personal coaching, as well as group coaching. We're putting a couple of group coaching sessions together that are people of like mind. So we're doing that. Then we are doing basic, and at some point we are working on, Melissa Gonski and I are working on bringing couples out to the general public versus just to our grads. So we're working on creating that right now. So we've gotten very creative in the things that we're bringing to you guys. So stay tuned on where do they stay tuned to? Our
This page that you're watching
website.
on? Yeah.
On this, you will
I
be able
think you and I should do a Freaky Friday sometime where we switch places and you just host and I just dispense life
oh my God, I
advice
think that would
and
be
you handle
so
the
much fun.
technology. So Tammy wants to know, is Fixture Picker just a class for unmarried people?
Is it what?
Is it just a class for unmarried people?
No, you could do it. I mean, we are talking about finding your true mate, but you could change that into creating the exact job that you want, or bringing friends into your life. So it's open-ended. It's really looking at how you choose and what you choose to bring into your life. So it's about your choices and what holds you back. So it can be towards any end. We're doing it towards finding a mate, but you could change that to anything you want to create. It'd be fun to have you in the room again. Oh, there goes my black cat. Meow. He's coming to bug me now. First my dog, then my cat. Who's next?
Just an animal parade.
Yeah.
Colin says tonight they're going to the hospital tonight. So we'll be streaming the birth of the baby on the Pathways live stream page. Just kidding. Just joking. Emily says,
I sure want to hear when the baby enters our world.
Emily says, thanks for the lemonade. When we leave from our Pathways experience, this has brought back some of the things I learned that I not necessarily kept working on. This has helped me reconnect with my Pathways way of life. I was hitting a wall from loneliness. So a thank you there. Vera says, great information on Fixture Picker and adapting it.
Yeah. And you can also get my book. For those of you that are not around Pathways consistently or continuously, this is a great way to open it up to any given day, and you can get it on Amazon. But I'll pick something for you today. People will not make your life perfect. They can't. It's your job. So it's little things like that I say, and then I explain it over here to give you more growth. But it's wonderful. So then you look at, who are the people in my life that I've been asking to make my life perfect? Turin's one of them.
Sorry, that's your job. I'm gonna try that next time.
Yeah.
And what a great quote too, as it relates to loneliness, because I think it really feels like loneliness sometimes should come from someone else should fix the loneliness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's up to me to reach out to go after the people that I want to have in my life, you know?
Yeah. So actually, while we're on the topic of buying your book on Amazon, which is called Pages of Wisdom, spelled like Sue Page. Yeah, if you just want to hold that up one more time. I do want to mention that if you are enjoying these sessions, today's session was brought to us by Pathways to a Better World. And one of the ways that you can support Pathways to a Better World, I'm going rogue, I'm going off script, I'm mixing things up, is that you can select Pathways to a Better World as your beneficiary on Amazon Smile, which is just at smile.amazon.com. And it's amazing. I have done this and I just saw a notification. I've made 72 purchases that have benefited Pathways to a Better World.
Wow.
Which tells me a lot about my online shopping habits, but it's really great because a portion of what you purchase will go to Pathways to a Better World, but it's not costing you anything extra. It just takes a little bit of money from Amazon, which is great. I think they've got enough for right now. I think they'll be all right. They'll have enough for dinner. So that's a really, really easy way that you can support Pathways to a Better World by just making them the beneficiary on your Amazon Smile account. And before we do our wrap up, I'm just seeing if there's any more questions. It looks like no. Any last things you want to share, Sue, before I close everything out?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I love you all. I miss being in front of people and being able to hug them. So there's my hug for you.
I feel like we should all just do that for a second. Just have like a nice, good hug. I have to say, the physical loneliness part of it has been rough. I have a weighted blanket now, and that weight has been so comforting when I sleep. It's amazing.
Oh, wow. That's a great idea.
A recommendation on that front. I think mine is 15 pounds. It's awesome. So Pathways would like to thank Better World for funding the Lemonade sessions. If you find value in these sessions and have the financial means to do so, please make a donation of any denomination at pathwaystoabetterworld.com, or there should be a donate button as part of this chat box where you can also make a donation. And I told you all about Amazon Smile, so you can do that as well. Sue is also available for coaching. She does one-on-one coaching, couples, family, corporate, group. So if you're interested in that, you can email office@pathwaysseminars.com, pathways with an S, seminars.com, and that then they can send you some more information about coaching, which could be really helpful during all of this. As I mentioned, Fix Your Picker is coming up. We've got some other sessions coming down the road, the lane, around the corner. They're any sort of road analogy you want to use. They are coming. They're on their way. So keep an eye out for that.
Down the path.
Down the path. Oh, right. The obvious one. Yeah. So feel free to keep an eye on our Facebook page for information about that. And we will be back on Monday. So tell your friends, invite people. And do you know Monday's topic offhand? I don't.
I do. But I don't have it right here.
That's all right.
Bruce and Amanda talking about support, I believe.
I believe that is true.
Oh, it's right in front of me.
Yes. Asking for and giving support.
Yes.
Awesome. We should have asked for support on finding that answer, but now we know it. So
it was right in front of me the whole time.
Such a good
because I was going to type this out and send it to you, all their answers of what they're going to talk about.
So we will see you back here on Monday, same time. And Monday is May 4th. Vera pointed that out, Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. So
you want to
also, yes.
Wisdom Wednesdays. Did you?
Yes. No. So Wisdom Wednesdays, if you are a friend or follow Sue Page on Facebook, at some time on Wednesday, Sue pops in, reads a page. Okay, 8 p.m. I like to make it more exciting and mysterious than that. 8 p.m. Central. Sue pops on and reads a page from her book and then kind of talks about what that means and where it comes from. And it's sort of a stream of consciousness, not unlike today's lemonade session, but a great chance to hear more. So thank you all so much for tuning in. We've enjoyed hearing your questions and thoughts. Stay safe. We will see you on Monday, and have a great weekend, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.